على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد الحمد لله. This series we're talking about over the weekend is the stories of the Zalimeen, or the end of the Zalimeen. And we talked about last time the longest reigning Zalim, the continuously reigning Zalim in this life, which is Shaitan. The next major story that comes up within our tradition is the first person after Adam alayhi salam on earth, at least the first person on earth that Shaitan was able to whisper, misguide and mislead. And that was the son of Adam alayhi salam. Right? So you have the story of Habil and Qabil, the two sons of Adam alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the story in the Quran. We know the story as well, that there was jealousy, and again it was that same feeling that Iblis had in himself, that he thinks I am better than this human being, and so I should not be bowing down to him, and this should not be the case. Well, the same disease he tries to infect now with the sons of Adam alayhi salam. And so you have the situation where the situation at the time was that whenever they would have children, they would have pairs, or they would have twins, right? That's what's been narrated in the books of tafsir, that Hawa alayhi salam, whenever she would give birth to a set of twins, a boy and a girl. And since it's the beginning of humanity, then the other set of twins, which was a boy and a girl, then they would be married, to each other. And Habil was supposed to marry. No, sorry, I always forget which one. Who killed who? No, Cain killed Abel, but Habil or Qabil, which one is which? Habil is Cain, Qabil is Abel, right? Qabil means Abel, right? So it was the wife or the intended wife of Qabil was beautiful, right? That's the story, that in his eyes that she was more beautiful than the intended wife that he was going to be given. And so he requested his father Adam alayhi salam to marry him off to his own sister rather than the other way around, right? And then this was against the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Allah azza wa jal gave them a procedure to, number one, bring a qurban, bring a sacrifice. And again, Allah azza wa jal knew what was in the heart. If someone is already sacrificing the will of Allah azza wa jal for their personal desires, then whose actual sacrifice, what Allah Azza wa Jalla asked them to do something, is going to be better. And so obviously Qabil, who was more submitting to the command of Allah about how things were going to go, he provides a sacrifice. His sacrifice is accepted, the others is not accepted. فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ. Allah says it was accepted from one of them, it wasn't accepted for the other. And then we know the story from there, where Habil, he says, I am going to kill you. The immediate response is, I am going to kill you. And Qabil responds to him and he says, لَإِن بَسَطْتَ إِلَيَّ يَدَكَ لِتَقْتُلَنِي مَا أَنَا بِبَاسِطٍ يَدِيَ إِلَيَّ لِأَقْتُلَكَ. That if you're going to extend your hand to kill me, I am not going to extend my hand to kill you. And the Mufassirin, some of them, they also comment on this ayah that, he's not saying I'm not going to defend myself. Because sometimes that issue comes up. That like if somebody's trying to hurt you, are you not allowed to defend yourself? Right, just like brother mentioned right now, we got a guy outside taking pictures of our cars. Right, if somebody wants to do you harm, you're allowed to defend yourself. Right, but the meaning of this ayah, as firstly they mentioned, is he's saying I am intent upon killing you. The other one is saying that's not my intention. I have no intention to hurt you, no intention to harm you, no intention to kill you. But if you're going to do it, that's going to be on you. That entire sin is going to be on you. Inni akhafu Allah Rabbul Alameen. I fear Allah Azza wa Jal, the master of all that exists. And even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam which we said, إِذَا تَوَاجَهَ الْمُسْلِمَانِ بِسَيْفَيْهِمَا فَالْقَاتِلُ وَالْمَقْتُولُ فِي النَّارِ. That when two Muslims come intent upon killing each other with their swords, right? They come to fight and kill each other with their swords, then the killer and the one killed, both of them are going to be in the hellfire. And so the Sahaba radiallahu anhu, they asked him, well, for the one who killed, we understand, but why the one who's doing the killing, but the one who was killed, why is he in the hellfire? And he says, إِنَّهُ كَانَ حَرِيصًا عَلَى قَتْلِ صَاحِبِهِ. Because he was eager to kill his companion. He was eager to kill his brother. So when you both, they both want to do the same thing, and here you see one of them wants to kill the other one says, I have no intention of hurting you and killing you. I have no intention of doing that whatsoever. And So we know the story goes on. Habil, Qabil, and then he becomes from the Nadimin, right? He becomes from the Nadimin, meaning those that are extremely, extremely regretful. And Allah Azza wa Jal, then, he's trying to bury, he doesn't know what to do with the dead body of his brother. By the way, in the books of tafsir, they mention how he killed his brother. How he killed his brother. Some of these are from the Israeliyat, meaning they're from the narrations of the people of the book, but we're allowed to narrate from them as long as they don't contradict something that we have. We don't have anything that contradicts the story, so it's a piece of information. That he initially grabbed him by the neck to try and twist his neck and squeeze his neck. This is the first murder that humanity has ever committed. The first murder that is being committed. He doesn't even really understand how to kill someone. And this is what's happening here, right? Some of the ages they mentioned, because they lived up to hundreds and hundreds of years, some of the ages they're even mentioning they were like early in their age, maybe like close to 15 or 20. This is what's just, what's been narrated. But he doesn't even know how to kill someone. And so he grabs him by the neck and he's trying to twist his neck and do something. They're struggling, they're fighting. And then it's mentioned that Shaitan came, took an animal and showed, and a rock, and he smashed the animal on the head, showing him, this is how you kill. This is how you kill him. Right? And again, Shaitan was more active directly, because again, he came to Adam alayhi salam, he whispered to them, he was talking to them in Jannah. He was more active at that time. They know he's a clear enemy. They know Shaitan, who Shaitan is personally, because of their interaction with Allah Azza wa Jal, in the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal. But that's how he kills him, and so that's what he does. He takes a rock and he smashes his head until he kills his own brother. And when he kills his own brother, then he becomes amongst the Nadimin. And Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned, فَطَوَّعَتْ لَهُ نَفْسُهُ قَتْلَ أَخِيهِ فَقَتَلَهُ فَأَصْبَحَ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. So the soul of Habil encouraged him and made it seem okay to kill his brother. So he killed him and he became from amongst the losers, al-khasirin, khasirina fi dunya wal akhirah, meaning he's going to lose everything in this dunya. He was banished from what we know. He was sent away from his family and he went to live on his own. And in the akhirah, obviously, there is a severe punishment, not just for him, but for anybody else that does this. The Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقتل نفس ظلما إلا كان على ابن آدم الأول كفل من دمها لأنه كان أول من سن القتل. And from this hadith, you also learn he was the first son of Adam alayhi salam. The firstborn of Adam alayhi salam. You get that from this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, any soul that is killed unjustly, then the first son of Adam will carry the burden of shedding, of its shedding, for he was the first one to establish the practice of murder. And so the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that whenever somebody kills someone, then the person that initiated this act, right, that showed humanity that this is something that can be done, they will get a portion of that. And he also mentions that this is the first son of Adam. The first son of Adam alayhi salam. SubhanAllah. Human beings come on earth, with their first generation on earth, the problems start. First generation on earth, the dhulm begins. SubhanAllah, can you believe this? It's no surprise that you see dhulm today. We have to understand, it's no surprise that you see dhulm today. If there was any family that would have been spared from dhulm according to our understanding, it would be the first human beings that Allah created, the first man that Allah Azza wa Jal made, the first woman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made, sent them to earth. You would at least imagine from our perspective that they would live in peace, because you always try to go back to a time where things were peaceful, and there is no time. There is no time when there wasn't any dhulm. There is no time when there wasn't any wrongdoing and harming people and so on and so forth. It begins from Adam alayhi salam. Shaitan tries to trick him, and then from his firstborn, he kills his next son. And so the dhulm, one of the things you learn from this story is the dhulm is always going to be there. Despite how righteous and how good people are, someone will show up that will be tricked by Shaitan, because Shaitan is working really, really hard to try and take this humanity away. So if he can't come after one of us, he'll come after somebody else. Right? If he can't get one of us to hurt somebody else, he'll get someone, and someone will come in and he'll be able to do it. And this is by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. But as the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that whoever commits this sin, then the first son of Adam will get a share of that adab. So imagine the amount of sin and punishment on Habil, because how much killing do you see in this dunya? How much dhulm and killing do you see in this dunya? And so imagine that's not something that's not something light. That's a huge sin on the ones that are doing it. And the end of the first one to ever do it the first one that encouraged people to do it. One of the things you can derive from this is that if a person does an act that encourages other people to do that same act, then their sin will be bigger. Their sin will be bigger. Just like the opposite. Man sanna sunnatan hasana falahu ajruha wa ajru man amila biha. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever establishes a good deed, then he will get the reward for that deed, and everyone who is influenced to do that good deed, he will get a share of that reward. وَمَنْ سَنَّ سُنَّةً سَيِّئَةً. Whoever does an evil act, whoever establishes an evil act, then they will have the sin for that act, and the sin for everyone that is influenced for doing that act. So it's not just Habil, but the people that do the dhulm you see before you now, you see them doing the dhulm, and that dhulm continues past their lifetime. That dhulm continues and is carried on past their lifetime. They will still have a portion of everything that's happened after they've died. Meaning, so you've had, you look at what's happening in Palestine right now. The people that started it, who are gone, they're going to continue to get the sin of the people that are continuing what they're doing. Right? The sin of the people that's happening now, it will continue to go on them. So the zalim, the oppressor, is their punishment doesn't end when their life does. Right? Their punishment doesn't end when their life does. This is the danger of hurting people and causing harm to this degree that it continues after you die. It's going to come back and haunt you. When they stand on the day of resurrection, it's not just everything they did. And that's going to be bad enough for these people when they stand before Allah Azza wa Jalla and have to face everything they did. But then they're going to be surprised. This is what happened after you. This is what this person did, following your lead. This is what they did. And so the justice will be dealt out for the entirety of their dhulm, the entirety of their influence over dhulm. And imagine, subhanAllah, from if Habil facing the entirety of the dhulm of humanity, of the killing and the murder and the taking of life, all of that presented on his scale when he's standing before Allah Azza wa Jal. And similarly for all those people that will follow after that, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pardon us, to keep us safe from ever harming someone, and from ever, and this is a dangerous thing, right? From ever doing something harmful to someone that somebody else carries on after our death. And for us, we have to be mindful about how we treat our family, right? Sometimes we might have an issue with a family member, and after we pass away, our kids carry on that legacy of mistreating that family member, right? That can come on you as well, because if you're the one that established that practice and your kids carry it on, guess where it comes back to, right? So the zulm can be of various degrees. But we have to be mindful. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla's protection from ever doing something harmful to someone, that we end up passing on that legacy to somebody else to continue that harm even after we go away, because it will come back and we will have to face it in front of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Jazakumullah khair wa assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I just wanted to say it was real what you wanted to do.